Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Teaching the Basics. My name is Utyo. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that whenever I post a new video, you get notified. So let's get started. In this lecture, I will be talking about database schemas and instances, data independence and database languages. So let's move on with the first topic, that is database schemas and instances. So what is a schema? Um, it is the overall description of the database, and at each level there is one schema that defines the structure of that level. Okay, so in my previous lecture I have already discussed about three-tier architecture of database management. If you haven't watched the video, I will put the link in the description below, so you can watch from there. So a schema can say about what is the name of the record, and how many columns are there, or how many tables are there, what are the data types of the columns, is there any constants associated with the record. Okay, so let's suppose that we have a schema of student database, and there is a student table. In that student table, uh, there are three columns. There is a student roll number, a student name, and a student phone. Now we can say that this student roll number has a data type, that is a number. For student name, that the data type is varchar, and for this student phone number, there is the data type is a number also. And we can put some constants. Let us suppose that for student role and student name, we can put a constant that is not null. That is, we should also always provide a roll number and a name in this table. Okay, and we can also put a constant that student phone number should be 10 digits. Okay, and so this is pretty much what you need to know about schema. And there is another point, that is a schema doesn't specify or describe about the relationship among various tables and files. Okay. So the next thing is that what is a database instance? So it is a collection of information in the database at a particular moment of time. So it is a time driven thing. Okay, so let us suppose that we want to know how many records of employees were there in the database in the month of September 2019. Let us suppose the number to be 4,000. Okay, so we had 4,000 employees in the month of September 2009. Now some fresh recruits were recruited in our organization, let us suppose. So now I want to know how many records of employees were there in the database in the month of March 2020. So let us suppose that now, as we have recruited some fresh employees, so let us suppose that it grow up to 5,000. Okay, now the employees are 5,000. Now you see the instances keeps on changing, right? So why does it change? Because with every insertion, like I have updated, some new employees came. So with new updation or new insertion or deletion operation in the database, these instances of the database instances keeps on changing. So now the next topic is data independence. So let's start with the definition of data independence. Whenever the lower level of data architecture is changed, it is not going to affect the upper level of data architecture. So what do I actually mean by this? Let's elaborate this with this help of this diagram. Okay, so you can recognize this diagram from my last video. That is, this is the 3-tier architecture of this DBMS. So if you make some changes in your physical level, it is not going to affect your logical level or external level, or if you are making any kind of changes in your logical level, it is neither going to affect the external level, okay, or the user level. So there are basically two types of data independence. The first one is the physical level data independence, and the second one is the logical level data independence. Okay, so let's see. So what is the this physical level data independence? So let's see the definition first. The ability to change the physical schema without changing the logical or the conceptual schema or external schema, that is the view schema, is called physical data independence. So let's elaborate this with an example. For example, you can say that if you change in file organization or storage structures or the storage device, if you replace the storage device, the new device with the older ones, or if you change the indexing strategies, then it is not going to affect your logical level or even your external levels. Now let me say that let us say that your business organization maintains a database. Okay, now let us suppose that you have grown your business. Now you will have to add some servers in your this backend. Okay, in your storage in your storage level. Okay, so it is not going to the programs that you used to use in the earlier days, you do not have to change that. Okay, so that this is happening actually due to the physical level data independence. Okay, so it is mainly done to actually improve the performance of the system without causing the application program to change, okay, or program to be rewritten. Okay, you the application program that you are using in the last time or you are actually using, you do not have to change it, even you are adding some servers or some storage other storage devices, or you are changing the indexing strategies or anything. Okay, so now let's discuss about the logical level data independence. Let's start with an definition. So the ability to change the conceptual schema or the logical schema without changing the external schema is called logical data independence. Okay, so let's elaborate on this with some examples. For example, the addition or removal of new entities. Now you have prepared a university database. Now you thought you already have a department schema, uh, you have already have a you have already departments, you have students, you have physical, you have the professors. Now you also have some you thought of including your library system in your database management system. Previously, let us suppose that previously your database management used to just manage your students information, your departments information, and your professors or the faculty's information. Now you have you decided that you want to add library informations too. So you can easily add it without and in your this logical level thing, and it is not going to affect your external level. Okay, now again you can add some attributes. You can also add or remove some relationships from the conceptual schema, and it is not going to affect your external level. So if you add some new columns or remove some columns from the table, then the user view or the program should not change. This is actually what I really wanted to mean. Yes. So Let's elaborate this again with an example, with a good example that consider there are two users, okay, one is Alice and one is Bob. Both are selecting the fields name and addresses. If a user Bob adds a new column, that is a phone number, to his table, it will not affect the external view for the user Alice, though the internal schema of the database has been changed for both the users Alice and Bob. So this is pretty much all about that you need to know about data independence. Now the next topic is database languages. So in database languages, we can subdivide these database languages or DBMS languages into two subcategories, mainly two subcategories. One is DDL, that is data definition language, and the other one is DML, that is a data manipulation language. Now the DDL, just like any other programming language, gets an input and generates some output, okay, and the output of the DDL is placed in the data dictionary, and we all know that this data dictionary contains metadata, that is data about data, and the data dictionary is considered to be a special type of table, and that can only be associated and updated by the database system itself, okay, and the database system this database system consults the data dictionary and before reading or modifying actual data, okay. So there are few commands in DDL. The first one is the create command, that with the help of that command we create views, tables, triggers and other database objects. Next command is alter command. With that alter command we can modify the database schema, we can change the data type of the column, we can add and remove column, okay. And next comes the drop command, okay. With the help of that drop command we can delete a database or delete a table. Now let's elaborate on what is DML, and DML stands for the data manipulation language, that I have already discussed and I have already told. And now this DML is a language that enables the user to access or manipulate data as organized by the appropriate data model, okay. And the types of accesses are like insert, or with the help of this insert command a new information in the database is inserted, and the next one is the update. You can modify or update information that is already stored in the database, and with this delete command we can delete any information from the database. Now this DML is again further subdivided into two basic components, that one, for the first one is the procedural DML and the second one is non-procedural DML. And so in procedural DML actually deals with how this data are fetched, okay, and non-procedural DMLs deals with what data are to be fetched, okay. And the example of procedural DML is PLSQL, okay. Now in non-procedural DML also we can subdivide this non-procedural DML into further two categories. The first one is the formal query language in this and the second one is informal query language. I will be making some videos on formal query language in my future lecture, and this formal query language has is again subdivided into two categories. The first one is the relational algebra and the second one is relational calculus. And in informal query language comes SQL, okay. I will be starting a new lecture series very soon on SQL and how, and in that SQL lecture series I will be covering all the commands that I have discussed right now, okay. So there are some other languages also in this DBMS or database. The first one is DQL, that is a data query language, and it has this select command in it. And in some reference or text, you can find that this select command is considered as a DML command, that is a data manipulation language command. But in some tests, you can find this select command as a command in DQL. Okay. And the next one is DCL, that is data control language. With the help of this data control language, DB or a database administrator grants access to a user or revokes access from the user. Okay, and the last one is that DTL, that is a data transaction language. I will be posting a video very soon on this transaction part, and I will be covering all those comments like commit, this save point and rollback in those videos. Okay, I will be posting a video on database transaction very soon. In the next lecture, I will be talking about these following topics. Please like my videos and share among your friends so that they can benefit from it too. I will be posting my next video very soon. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you.